I'm Truman, the Gray Merchant. Custom card design has been around for as long as Magic has been publicly available. It's a great way for players to build their design skills and create fun new cards to play with. I'm currently working on a custom set myself. Many current and past Wizards of the Coast designers made custom cards before being officially hired. This video is not about that. While Wizards employees are not allowed to look at them, Magic players are able to create their own cards and share them on sites like r/custom magic or MTG Nexus. However, issues rise when players try to charge for those cards. This is the history of unofficial Magic sets shut down by Wizards of the Coast.
I'm specifically looking at custom sets with unique cards as opposed to proxies or counterfeits of pre-existing cards, which I feel are different categories worthy of their own retrospectives.
Information and images were found on the Magic libraries, which I will talk about in more detail at the end of the video. In the 90s and early 2000s, card stickers were fairly common. These stickers were intended to go over a regular Magic card.
They have the same energy as works with other construction block toys.
As a non-legally problematic example, in 1995, gaming magazine Increst produced Paul Thompson's proto-unset Annoying Kingdoms. This 72-card set was full of meta-references to Magic cards and decks of the time, plus pop culture jokes and general comedy. There's also a notable Dachshund theme. Another sticker set, 1996's Edge of the World, received approval from Wizards of the Coast, as long as it wasn't released in boosters or sold.
Through mutual agreement, an Edge of the World card even appeared in Tempest.
Another sticker set, this time released illegally, was 1994's Middle Ages. The 75-card set was released by Fred Rich Disler's Marauder Graphics. 90,000 stickers were produced, of which 24,000 were sold, in booster packs of 8. Oddly, these stickers were slightly larger than a regular Magic card, requiring the excess to be cut with a knife. There was a common and an uncommon sheet, with rarity ranging from C3, a sticker printed 3 times on the common sheet, to U1, a sticker printed once on the uncommon sheet. During the packaging process, Ditzler manually made ungodly rares less common. 2 cards were only available through a mail-in program, where he sent in 5 Middle Ages booster wrappings plus $4 per card, which I argue is too much, especially given that a booster was only $2.50. The set used unique color and tap symbols, and credited Wizards of the Coast for various concepts. This did not stop Wizards of the Coast from releasing a cease and desist notice about 3 weeks after the set's initial release, leading to the set's demise with about 3/4 of its stock unreleased and or destroyed. This prevented Ditzler from making a second, larger, edited set. However, he still apparently made $15,000 in today's money on the sold packs, which is not nothing. In keeping with its name, Middle Ages is an alpha-esque traditional Western fantasy set, full of castles, wizards, and dragons. The art is very impressive. If someone made a custom set with this art today, I'd be equally impressed. Design-wise, the set is what you would expect from a set designed by a single player who only had a handful of official sets to work off of. The power level is pretty comparable to a set from the time, with some questionable creature stats and color pie choices from a modern perspective, but most of these could easily be real cards of the era, except for the Strictly Better Island. I don't think Wizards of the Coast would have printed that, even in the 90s. In 1998, Peter Gray and Frank Martel of PGI Limited created Havoc the Bothering, a simplified comedic version of Magic. The first and only set was called School Days, loosely based on college tropes. Most Magic terms were renamed. Life is sanity points, lands are property, artifacts are articles, creatures are peons, sorceries are effects, tap is whack, summoning sickness is hungover, flying is stealth, and the graveyard is the hospital.
All I can think of when I read some of these changes is this.
So this story just modernizes some things. Kyle isn't a prince because that would be ridiculous. Princes aren't real.
The 5 mana types are simplified to 2 resources, alcohol and cigarettes. Other gameplay changes include starting at 21 life/sanity instead of 20, starting with 8 cards in your hand instead of 7, and artifacts/articles also having summoning sickness/hangovers somehow. There are no instants and only the 1 ability ward. The set was mainly released in partially randomized 60-card decks. 5-card boosters were also sold in smaller numbers. Wizards of the Coast objected to the game's similarities to Magic and prevented its presence at the 1998 Gen Con. In a likely related turn of events, the game ceased production, preventing the release of its second set, Spring Break. Counting art variations, the set has 96 cards.
Yes, they do all look like they're red cards.
As you could probably tell from the terminology changes, Havoc goes for a juvenile sense of humor. If you're wondering if this extends into abject racism, sexism, and transphobia, the answer is unfortunately yes. I don't feel comfortable showing examples here, but just take my word for it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Wizards objected to some of this content being associated with their brand.
Outside of the dated edgelord stuff, I won't say that there's no humor to be found here, but if you've seen the first 5 cards, you get the gist of the other 91.
I can't say I'm a fan of most of the art. Much of it is very hard to make out. It fits the tone of the product, though.
Interestingly, for all of the copyright infringing elements, the fact that it only has 2 colors probably makes it a fundamentally different and worse playing experience. If you happen to play it, I would love to know what your experience was like. I imagine it reads better than it plays, and doesn't read particularly well. My final example is the unofficial set, released by a team of French amateur designers in 2000. I admit that this entry is cheating, as, to my knowledge, it was never legally challenged. However, I am of the belief that had this product been sold in the United States, Wizards would have quickly shut it down. A group of French Magic fans were, like many players, disappointed with Mercadian masks. However, unlike most complainers, they decided to actually make their own set. The team of over 10 generated 500 cards, which were eventually cut down to around 150. The exercise generated community interest, so the team eventually decided to produce and sell physical cards. They would be sold to cover printing costs, apparently not at a profit. Due to cost limitations, the set was further decreased to 134 cards. About 100 people pre-ordered the set, which sold for about $91 in today's USD. Unless I did the math wrong, which is quite possible. Unfortunately, the print quality was poor. The designers and printing company came to an agreement to reprint 98 of the cards at a lower price. 11 cards were switched out for balance reasons and to utilize the new kicker mechanic. 2 forgotten cards were also added. The price was raised to $169 in today's money. Again, assuming I didn't get all that wrong. The print quality was better now, and customers received both runs, referred to as beta and alpha respectively. Yes, beta came first. Those wacky French. The set featured cards of all colors, as well as multicolor, artifact, and land. I'm not sure what the team had against white the first time around. All card types of the era are represented, and there are many legendary creatures. Of the sets we've examined, this one is the closest to a real Magic set by far. The formatting, symbols, and card back are near identical, and real Magic characters show up. This all adds to the legal dubiousness of the Enterprise. The artwork is very professional looking compared to official Magic cards of the era, except for the very well hidden gibbon. Great joke though. The Magic Librarities writes that artwork was added from many sources over the internet. I'm very curious what that means, because if you told me that most of these were official Magic cards, I'd believe you. Like an early Magic set, it's more of a collection of unrelated fantasy concepts than a cohesive world. Also, Mexico's there. There is some irony/hypocrisy in all this, as Rose of the Coast was founded to produce the Primal Order, a generic RPG add-on that ended up illegally working off elements owned by other game companies. Palladium Games sued after the Primal Order's 1992 release, to which Wizards eventually settled. Fortunately, we can all now share Steamboat Willie. I'd like to give massive appreciation to the Magic Librarities site, my primary source for this video. It is a treasure trove of information on MTG weirdness. It is linked below, and I highly recommend you check it out. Thank you for watching. Have you played any of these sets? I am very curious what that was like. Additionally, if you have any sort of expertise on intellectual property, I would love to hear your take on these incidents.
If you enjoyed this video, apparently the most helpful thing you can do to support the channel is watch another one of my videos afterwards. If you're interested in Wizards of the Coast history, you may want to watch my video on Magic's messy attempts at TV shows and movies.
As always, thank you to my patrons. If you want to join them and gaining early access to videos, behind-the-scenes information, and other perks, that's linked below. Bye!